6 dangerous places to avoid. According to Machiavelli, have you ever wondered why the most powerful people seem to avoid certain places as if they were cursed? Why even the most cunning rulers know there are spaces both physical and social that must be treated like poison wells? True strategy isn't just about conquering territory or winning allies. It's about knowing where not to tread, which fires to leave unstoked, and which rooms to leave empty, even if they seem to beckon. Today, I want to show you, with clarity, the first of 6 dangerous places Machiavelli himself would have warned you to avoid at all costs. The court of flattery. It may seem essential, even inviting, to surround yourself with those who praise you and echo your brilliance back. 2. You like a chorus of approval, but your ruin begins in that gilded hall. When you hunger for flattery, you blind yourself. You stop seeing things as they are. You hear only what soothes you. You mistake comfort for loyalty. And so, your enemies smile, get close, and gut you. In the dark, consider the prince on a throne of compliments. His ministers tell him the people adore him even as they plot his overthrow. His soldiers claim loyalty even as they sell his secrets. He becomes deaf to criticism, allergic to truth, and addicted to the opiate of affirmation. He stops growing, stops fearing, and stops preparing. Machiavelli would tell you that a ruler who cannot stomach the harsh voice of dissent is already a puppet with strings in the hands of courtiers, and you are no different. In your life, those who always agree with you are not your friends, they are your assassins in waiting. Have you noticed how the most dangerous people often speak in the sweetest tones, how they make you feel important, irreplaceable, even godlike? This isn't love, it's leverage. The flatterer's weapon isn't steel, but suggestion. They offer a mirror where you see perfection. They wipe away your doubts and cradle your ego like a child. Intoxicated, you surrender your judgment, your guard, your skepticism. This is why the court of flattery must be burned to the ground within you. The person who surrounds themselves with nodding heads is marching blindfolded toward their own destruction. You might believe you are above this, that you can accept praise without falling prey to it, but understand that flattery is a subtle, tasteless, odorless poison. It seeps into you slowly. It tells you that you are owed the world and are beyond reproach. It claims that anyone who criticizes you is jealous, malicious, or inferior. And so you isolate yourself from the very council that could save you. You kill the messenger who brings bad news, punishing truth and rewarding deceit. All the while, your enemies smile in your court, bow deeply, and sharpen their blades behind your back. Machiavelli taught that a wise ruler must love the truth more than they love themselves. They must invite criticism, seeking it out like a doctor looking for an infection before it spreads. They must pay those who tell them unpleasant facts, because power that doesn't listen is power on borrowed time. The flatterer will never tell you the dam is cracking. They will sing as the flood approaches. They will kiss your hand while guiding you to the gallows. The first place to avoid at all costs is not a city or battlefield, but a space of false friendship, the court of flattery. It seems safe, yet it kills slowly. Look at your own life. Who are the people who dare to challenge you? Who risks your anger to tell you what you don't want to hear? These are your true allies. And who showers you with endless approval, always agrees, always praises, and always reassures you? These are not friends. They are parasites, or worse, saboteurs. Ask yourself, have you made it easy for flatterers to thrive? Have you punished honesty so that only the sycophant survives? If so, you have built your own prison, brick by gilded brick. There is no greater vulnerability than a leader who cannot tolerate dissent. Their fate is sealed not by open rebellion, but by silence in the ranks. Silence in the court, and silence in the people who know the truth but dare not speak it. When the truth can no longer be spoken, it grows like a cancer until it bursts forth in crisis, betrayal, and collapse. Machiavelli didn't romanticize human nature. He knew that people would lie to gain favor and flatter to gain an advantage. Your only defense is brutal self-awareness and a readiness to hear what wounds you. This is why I tell you to burn the court of flattery before it burns you. Chase away those who never argue with you. Reward those who dare to speak the truth. Make your circle uncomfortable if you must, because it is better to endure the sting of honesty than the knife of betrayal. The prince who fears a harsh word today will lose his head tomorrow. The man who surrounds himself with flatterers has already signed his own death warrant, though the ink is invisible until the moment of crisis. So, reflect now. Who flatters you? Who lies to you with sweet words? Who profits from your blindness? And who do you silence when they speak the truth? This is the first dangerous place you must avoid at all costs. Not a distant enemy camp, but the warm, inviting, deadly court of flattery, where the seeds of your destruction are sown with your own consent. The crowd's applause. The second place is just as insidious, yet even more tempting to the ambitious mind. The crowd's applause. Machiavelli would warn you that, while a ruler must be loved or feared, they should never crave to be adored like an idol, for that hunger will make them weak. The applause of the crowd is not loyalty. It is a transaction. It is given not for your virtue but for your usefulness. The moment you cease to entertain, serve, or gratify, that same crowd will turn on you with a ferocity that surprises only the foolish. The wise strategist never forgets that the masses cheer loudest for those they will hang tomorrow. Consider the politician who governs by popularity. Every decision is a performance, every word tailored to please. He fears offending anyone and promises everything. He believes the volume of applause is the measure of his strength, but in truth, he becomes their servant, shackled by their approval. When a crisis comes, he cannot act decisively, because decisive action will divide the crowd. He cannot speak harsh truths, because harsh truths win no cheers. He becomes a captive of public opinion, a puppet dancing to their cheers until the day they tire of his show. Do you think you are any different? That only rulers, kings, and politicians fall prey to the crowd? Look closer. You too seek the applause of your peers, your family, your followers, your tribe. You shape your words to avoid offense, swallowing your convictions to avoid conflict. You become who they want you to be so they will clap for you. But every time you do this, you sacrifice your sovereignty and give away your power. The moment you need their approval, they own you. Machiavelli would tell you that seeking to be universally loved is the surest path to ruin. Love given freely is rare, but love demanded is worthless. He would urge you to choose respect over affection, or even fear over love if you must, but never dependence on applause. The crowd is fickle, their memory short, and their loyalty for sale. They will praise you today and stone you tomorrow. If you govern yourself by their cheers, you will be forever adrift, changing your course with every wind of opinion. Look around you. Notice how many people live in terror of disapproval. How many craft every sentence, curate every image, and adopt every fashionable stance simply to avoid the crowd's wrath. They do not lead, they obey. They do not think, they conform. When they face a choice between truth and acceptance, they choose the applause. This is why the world is full of cowards dressed as diplomats, liars called influencers, and traitors to themselves applauded as heroes. Ask yourself, whose approval do you crave? Whose approve makes you betray yourself? For whom do you silence your convictions? These are the people who hold your leash. It is not enough to claim independence. You must prove it in your willingness to be disliked. The strong person does not seek universal love. They understand that to stand for anything is to alienate some. They do not fear the crowd's anger. They use it. They do not chase their affection. They command their respect. Machiavelli did not advocate cruelty for its own sake. He advocated clarity. He knew that pleasing everyone is impossible, and worse, it is a trap that turns you into a liar and a coward. The prince who tries to please all will please none, and in trying to save himself from hatred, he loses the fear that protects him. So too must you recognize that avoiding all conflict is not peace. It is surrender. It is the abdication of power, and the quiet death of self-respect. Therefore, beware the place where the applause is loudest. It is there that you are most vulnerable. In those cheers, you will lose your voice. In that approval, you will bury your integrity. The crowd will not save you when crisis comes. They will not remember your sacrifices or your compromises. They will only remember that you disappointed them. And when you do, they will not merely withdraw their applause, they will demand your head. So today I ask you, do you have the courage to be booed, criticized, and even hated by the many so you can be true to yourself? The person who cannot bear the loss of applause will never hold real power. They will be forever on a stage, performing for a crowd that does not care about them, only about what they can give them. The second dangerous place you must avoid at all costs is this theater of applause. Step off the stage, leave the spotlight, rule yourself so you can rule your world. The circle of the familiar there is a third place even more dangerous, precisely because it feels like safety itself. The circle of the familiar. Machiavelli would tell you that the comfort of the familiar is the enemy of strategy, because it dulls your senses and makes you forget that danger rarely announces itself with trumpets. Instead, it wears the face you know best. The greatest threats to your power, your freedom, and your clarity come not from strangers, but from those closest to you. They are the ones who know your weaknesses, who can betray you without suspicion, and who can poison your will without lifting a blade. Understand this: loyalty is not guaranteed by proximity. Friendship does not mean allegiance. Family ties do not ensure respect. The wise strategist knows that the heart is blind where the familiar is concerned. You forgive to isolate, explain away betrayals, overlook insults, and excuse disrespect. You let your guard fall because they would never, but they can, they have, and they will. Power corrupts not only those who hold it, but those who orbit it. Your success becomes their ladder, your status their shadow, and your triumphs their resentment. Have you never noticed how envy often festers closest to you? How the friend who once cheered your rise begins to withdraw when you truly surpass him? How family members couch their sabotage in concern? How partners guilt you for growing beyond them? These are not rare tragedies. They are the rule of human nature. Machiavelli would remind you that men are more ready to love you when they need you, but when they no longer benefit, their love curdles into bitterness. Those who know you best know precisely how to wound you deepest. The circle of the familiar is dangerous because it rewards your negligence. It tells you to relax, to trust without question, to share secrets freely, and to believe that history guarantees loyalty. But history means nothing to ambition. Blood means nothing to envy. The wise ruler tests those closest to him more rigorously than he tests his enemies, because the betrayal of a friend is always more catastrophic than the betrayal of a foe. A foe you watch carefully, a friend you hand the keys to the kingdom. Think about your own life. Who have you let too close? Who knows your fears, your dreams, your vulnerabilities? Who have you allowed to influence your decisions, your values, and your boundaries simply because they have always been there? Familiarity is the camouflage of manipulation. They can wrap their control in love, obligation, and shared memories, and you will call it loyalty even as you sacrifice your freedom for their comfort. Machiavelli would not tell you to live loveless or alone. He would tell you to live clear-eyed. Understand that true loyalty must be tested, that affection is not immunity, and that shared history is not a shield. The wise person loves, but they also observe. They trust, but they verify. They do not mistake the length of a friendship for its depth, nor a blood tie for a bond of spirit. They understand that any circle can become a cage if they forget to guard the gate. You may think this is cruel, that to scrutinize those you love is to betray them. But ask yourself, what is a greater betrayal? To question honestly, or to let resentment breed unchecked? To test loyalty while there is peace, or to be destroyed by disloyalty in crisis? Machiavelli teaches us that power is maintained not by sentiment but by vigilance, and vigilance begins at home. The ruler who ignores conspiracies among his closest advisors does not deserve his crown. And you, if you ignore the slow poison of unexamined relationships, will find your own sovereignty slipping away, drip by drip. So I ask you now, who in your circle has grown silent when you speak of your dreams? Who belittles your plans as foolishness? Who encourages your weaknesses under the guise of acceptance? Who demands loyalty but offers none in return? These are the questions the strategist must ask, not because they want to destroy love, but because they want to preserve it from the rot of unspoken resentment and secret ambition. Avoid the third dangerous place at all costs, the unguarded circle of the familiar. There, among old friends and family smiles, the seeds of your downfall can grow unnoticed, watered by your own complacency. Do not abandon them, but never abandon yourself to them. Watch, listen, and test. Only then can you be safe, not only from your enemies but from those who might become them. The marketplace of ideals there is yet another place of danger Machiavelli would insist you avoid at all costs. The marketplace of ideals. This is the realm where men trade principles like commodities, where virtue is performed for status, and where truth is bent to fit the fashion of the day. It is not a physical market but a social one, a space of endless debate, moral posturing, and righteous signaling that promises virtue but delivers only vanity and division. The wise strategist understands that the marketplace of ideals is a theater. There are sellers and buyers of beliefs, and each is motivated not by truth but by power. In this arena, people do not seek understanding. They seek validation. They do not speak to learn. They speak to win. Their convictions are not forged in contemplation but borrowed wholesale from whatever faction offers the most applause. Here men weaponize morality to shame dissent, parading their principles to dominate social standing. In the process, they lose all integrity. Have you not noticed how the loudest moralists are often the greatest hypocrites? How those who demand absolute conformity are the first to betray their own rules when convenient? The marketplace of ideals rewards not consistency but performance. It punishes nuance and exiles doubt. It demands you choose a side, then punishes you if you question it. Machiavelli would tell you that nothing is more dangerous than those convinced of their own righteousness, for they will burn cities, ruin friendships, and sacrifice truth itself to preserve their You may think you are above this, that you can enter these debates with pure intentions, that you can argue your truth and be heard. But know this, once you step onto that stage, you accept its rules. You give power to those who control the crowd. Your arguments will not be evaluated for merit but for loyalty. Your words will not be heard but twisted, and you will find yourself forced to extremes to stay accepted, to keep your standing in the ideological tribe you chose. This is how good people become zealots and how reason becomes propaganda. Machiavelli would not tell you to have no ideals. He would tell you to master them, to hold them privately, and to live them with integrity, but to avoid making them currency for social acceptance. The moment you need others to see you as virtuous, you will do whatever is needed to maintain that image. You will lie and you will betray, becoming the very thing you claim to fight. Worse, you will surround yourself with those who demand your conformity over your honesty. Ask yourself now, how often have you silenced your doubts? To stay in good standing, how often have you repeated beliefs you did not fully understand just to avoid conflict? How often have you attacked others for ideas you never truly examined? This is the marketplace of ideals at work within you. It rewards you for sacrificing thought and praises you for parroting. It destroys your sovereignty of mind for what? Applause, inclusion, the illusion of moral superiority. The wise strategist refuses to debate with those who seek victory over understanding. They know that the moment a discussion is reduced to a battle of purity, truth dies. They understand that silence is sometimes the only honest answer, that a refusal to engage is an act of power, and that walking away preserves one's integrity better than any shouted rebuttal. Machiavelli would counsel you to hold your beliefs close, but to wield them carefully, never as a banner to be accepted but as a compass to stay true. So I say to you, avoid the fourth dangerous place at all costs, the marketplace of ideals. Do not trade your integrity for applause. Do not barter your truth for belonging. Do not step onto that stage unless you are prepared to become the actor they want you to be. Instead, cultivate a private clarity and a personal integrity that cannot be bought or sold. Let others debate and posture while you observe, learn, and act on your own terms. In a world screaming for attention, silence is power, and true conviction is priceless. The counsel of the indecisive. There is a fifth place Machiavelli would warn you to shun ruthlessly. The counsel of the indecisive. This is the domain of endless hesitation, of people who fear commitment more than defeat, of advisors whose every answer is perhaps, and whose loyalty is to caution over clarity. It is the deathbed of action, for no empire was ever built by people who could not choose. Understand, this indecision is not wisdom, it is fear masquerading as prudence. It paralyzes armies, ruins businesses, destroys relationships, and dethrones kings. The wise strategist knows that while the wrong decision can be dangerous, no decision is lethal. Machiavelli would tell you that fortune favors the bold, not because the bold are always right, but because they move while others freeze. In war, hesitation loses battles. In politics, delay cedes power. In life, timidity kills opportunity before your enemies even have to lift a finger. You may think surrounding yourself with cautious voices will protect you, that asking for endless opinions will ensure the best choice. But consider this. A counsel that cannot decide breeds only confusion. Advisors who speak only in conditions, caveats, and fears do not clarify your path. They obscure it. They infect your will with doubt and sow endless possibilities so you forget the one thing that matters. You must choose, and in choosing, you take responsibility. This is the weight the indecisive fear most. Have you not noticed how those who counsel caution the loudest rarely stake anything themselves? How they fear failure more than they desire victory? How they would rather do nothing than be wrong? These people are not your allies. They are anchors. They will dress their cowardice in the language of reason and their fear in the close of analysis. They will say, wait, consider, and re-examine until the moment to act has passed and the opportunity is gone forever. Machiavelli would not tell you to be reckless. He would tell you to be decisive. To know that no plan survives contact with reality and therefore delay is not strategy. It is surrender. He would remind you that every choice carries risk and that power belongs to those who accept this truth rather than hide from it. Indecision is a betrayal of your own sovereignty. When you cannot choose, you invite others to choose for you, and those others will never have your interests at heart. Think of the times you hesitated, the moments you let fear of error stop you from seizing an advantage, and the opportunities you lost while waiting for perfect certainty. Perfection is a lie the timid tell themselves to justify their paralysis. The world does not reward perfect plans, but effective ones. It does not honor flawless strategy, but timely execution. The counsel of the indecisive will keep you polishing your sword while your enemies conquer the field. Ask yourself now, who do you turn to for advice? Who in your circle prefers endless debate over committed action? Who always sees the danger but never the opportunity? Who feels safer naming problems than proposing solutions? These are not strategists, they are saboteurs of will. Whether they intend to or not, they will destroy your momentum and sap your courage. They will make you as timid as they are, because in your hesitation, they see their own weakness justified. Avoid at all costs the fifth dangerous place, the counsel of the indecisive. Surround yourself instead with those who dare to choose, who understand that risk is the price of victory, who will tell you plainly what they believe even if it offends you, and who will stand by their words when consequences come. Power does not belong to the one who is always right, but to the one who acts while others tremble. When the world grows uncertain, it will not seek the cautious but the clear. Be that person who can say, this is the path, follow me. The sanctuary of self-pity. There remains one final place Machiavelli would warn you to avoid at all costs. The sanctuary of self-pity. This is the most insidious danger of all, because it lies not outside you but within, waiting to welcome you when the world grows cold. It offers comfort in defeat, justification in failure, and forgiveness without change. By accepting its embrace, you sign away your power for the fleeting warmth of sympathy. Understand this, self-pity is not healing. It is surrender disguised As solace, it does not restore you, it pacifies you. It replaces strategy with complaint, reflection with blame, and action with inertia. Machiavelli would tell you that the person who indulges in self-pity becomes their own greatest conspirator. They stop plotting their rise and begin rehearsing their excuses. They no longer ask, "How can I win?" but "Why was I wronged?" They lose the will to command and beg instead for understanding and validation of their weakness. Have you not seen how seductive it is to gather others around your wounds? How easy it is to weave a narrative of injustice where you are always the victim. Self-pity is a subtle flattery you offer yourself. It says you are blameless, that the world is cruel, and that your failure was inevitable. It invites others to soothe you, to pity you, and to reassure you that you did all you could. But it kills the one thing you need to rise: responsibility. Responsibility is heavy, painful, and humiliating at times. But it is the only road to power. Machiavelli would not deny that the world is unfair. He would not tell you that betrayal doesn't exist, or that injustice is a lie. He would tell you that these are constants of human life, and that power belongs not to those who avoid them, but to those who transcend them. The prince who wallows in betrayal loses his throne. The strategist who clings to injustice loses the war. The person who nurses old wounds lets them fester until they consume him. Think about how often you have replayed insults in your mind. How many nights you have lain awake, nursing old betrayals. How much energy you have spent justifying your failures to yourself. Self-pity is a thief. It steals the energy that should be used to rebuild. It replaces the question, "What must I do?" with "Why me?" It is the silent agreement you make to remain broken. Because healing requires too much sacrifice and too much change. You may think there is honor in being wronged, that there is nobility in your suffering, but Machiavelli would tell you this is an illusion. The world does not reward the pure of heart, it rewards the effective. It rewards those who, though wounded, stand again. Those who, though betrayed, learn and adapt. Those who, though humiliated, grow sharper. Power is not given to the deserving but to the relentless, and self-pity is the great enemy of relentlessness. Ask yourself now, when did you last indulge in it? When did you last let your disappointment become your identity? Who do you complain to, hoping for pity instead of counsel? Who do you blame for your failures so you do not have to change? These are the questions the strategist must ask, for they expose the silent sabotage you perform against yourself. In the sanctuary of self-pity, you are not safe. You are imprisoned, and the jailer is you. Machiavelli would say it is better to rage than to weep, better to plan vengeance than to pray for pity, and better to plot in darkness than to wail in the open, because the world has no mercy for those who refuse to fight for themselves. So, destroy the sanctuary of self-pity. Burn it to ash. When you are wronged, learn. When you are defeated, rise. When you are betrayed, remember. Let nothing be wasted. Let nothing make you smaller. So heed this final warning. Avoid at all costs the last dangerous place. The quiet, welcoming, deadly sanctuary of self-pity. In that room, you will find not healing, but decay. Not allies, but enablers. Not strategy, but surrender. Remember, the man who refuses to pity himself cannot be broken. He may be hurt, betrayed, and cast out, but he will remain dangerous. And in the end, it is the dangerous person who survives. If you have made it this far, it's because a part of you is already prepared for this new discipline. A part of you understands that true strength is not being accepted everywhere, but in choosing the places you refuse to go. Real power begins when you decide to protect your mind, your time, and your energy, even if it costs you approval, comfort, or familiar faces. Now, tell me in the comments, are you ready to be doubted, criticized, and even hated for refusing the traps that weaken you? Are you willing to pay the price of being clear, decisive, and unbreakable? If this message struck you, if it made sense, write in the comments, "I choose my sovereignty." Let's see how many here are ready for that transformation. And don't forget to keep watching the next video. It matters more than you realize. See you there.